Welcome to MetroCasting. I'm Doug Farley. Since it is the Lenten season, we begin this episode with a mouth-watering excursion into the world of local fish fry fundraising. Last year at this time, we went MetroCasting in search of this local delicacy and found that Berwick, of all places, is apparently the mecca of the fish fry frenzy. The Lenten season for many of the faithful in our area and across the world means not eating meat on Fridays. That is why many churches and organizations hold fundraising fish fries on that day of the week. Not only are they raising some much-needed funding for their church or organization, they're also providing some pretty good food for everyone to enjoy. And while most may be fortunate to have at least one fish fry within their community, the Berwick area actually has two. And even though it isn't a competition, most people in town do have their favorite Lenten fish fry spot. St. Mary's Church on Fowler Avenue and the Reliance Volunteer Fire Company on West 3rd Street each hold fish fries on Fridays and each get plenty of business. Since they are on opposite ends of town, both say there is plenty of room and food for both fish fries to exist, and that the money being raised helps each entity in many, many ways. But more on that in a moment. First, we want to tantalize your taste buds with a look at the menu of each place. Since it's called a fish fry, both do offer that particular staple for this type of meal, with the difference being they each have their own fried fish batter recipe. Neither, by the way, would divulge their secret. But they also offer baked fish as a healthier alternative. And for kids, or those who aren't so fond of fish, they both offer chicken fingers, as well as a nice assortment of side dishes, desserts, and beverages. While they both have their own slight variations in taste, service, food prep, and yes, delivery, there is one thing they all have in common. You will not go away hungry from either place. This particular group of friends, Joanne, Elizabeth, Doris, Mary, and Paul, say they love the St. Mary's fish fry so much they come each and every week.
We do come every week because the fish is out of this world. It's delicious. And we're trying to talk them into having it at least twice a month after the Lenten season, but they won't do it. So we just cry a lot. And we wait till the following Lenten season for the fish. When it gets close to it, we start getting itchy, we want fish. And we come every week.
Are you members here?
No, we don't belong to this church, but we do like their fish.
The same is true for the Reliance Fire Company's fish fry, in that they have their regular Friday customers as well. And when you think about Reliance having been serving up fish for over 30 years during Lent, well, that's quite a lot of mouths they've had to feed.
It started in 1979 as a fundraiser, which at that time it has grown considerably. It started with 2 Fry Daddies, and since then it's grown greatly.
And so has St. Mary's. As you look around, you see there is a lot of help available at both places, as well as a lot of familiar faces, including some very familiar faces. Neither, though, says it's a chore to get volunteers to come work.
Tell me about the help you get here. How much is that?
Great volunteer help from the parish. It's invaluable.
And is this one of those events where everybody pitches in?
I would say yes, sure. As many people as are able to help, either helping out or they come and patronize.
The Reliance fish fry, as well as St. Mary's, have become so expected and synonymous with the Lenten season in Berwick, no one can imagine this time of year without them. And both have become so successful that neither can really afford not to hold their respective fish fries. Both use funds raised to help keep the lights and heat on in their buildings, as well as to pay other important bills, or, in the case of the fire company, to help purchase life-saving equipment.
Without the money coming from these fundraisers, we wouldn't been able to afford our electricities, and it's our biggest fundraiser of the year, and it helps buy equipment for the vehicles on a yearly basis, which at that point, a new air pack is roughly $5,000, and every 10 to 15 years we should be replacing them. So it takes a lot to raise that kind of funds.
So in general, basically the money goes right back into the fire company?
Absolutely, everything goes back into the fire company, whether it's building maintenance or improvements for the fish center itself. Everything goes back into the fire company, and the community support is the key to this, which we have great community support.
Now, both the Reliance Fire Company and the St. Mary's Fish Fries in Berwick each are on Fridays only, starting at about 11 o'clock in the morning, and they both run till about 7 o'clock at night. You can phone your orders in ahead of time and even have them delivered if you so choose. If you live elsewhere in the MetroCast Channel 10 viewing area, you are more than welcome to check out what the local churches and organizations where you live offer as Friday Lenten specials. It's always homemade, really good, and well worth the cost. Plus, you're helping out the people and the places where you live. When we come back, we have a very special story for you, all about days gone by, but still fondly remembered and relived. Stay with us. Welcome back, and thanks for MetroCasting with us. High school reunions are as much of an American tradition as are hot dogs, apple pie, and Superman. Reunions are usually held every 5 years or so, depending on the year you graduated, and in some cases, whether your school still exists. By that I mean, there are many high schools across our changing landscape that were merged with other schools to create a larger school district over the years. And that means the school you graduated from, your parents and your grandparents graduated from, no longer exists. But that doesn't mean you still can't get together to relive old memories and create some new ones if you want, as we found out by stopping by the Nescopeck High School class reunion last fall. School districts all around the country can encompass some pretty large areas, including many of those right here in our area. But what a lot of kids today may not know is that the Berwick area school district, the Hazelton area school district, and even some Pocono area high schools are actually comprised of several smaller schools that at some point in the past were merged into one larger district. One of those smaller schools was the Nescopeck High School. Now an elementary school, the old high school was merged with the old Berwick High School in the mid-1960s. But that does not mean those who graduated from the Nescopeck High School have forgotten their former classmates, teachers, roots, or where their old school loyalties lie. After all, as the Beach Boys once sang, you must be true to your school. And the graduates we talked with at the 2011 Nescopeck High School Reunion most certainly still are true to their school. Many Nescopeck graduates still live in the area, including Eileen and Bill Waldman, who graduated in 1951 and got married a few years later. We will let them lead us down the path to memory lane and what it was like to go to a smaller school where everyone knew almost everything about anyone.
Basically, you were taught right from wrong.
This is true.
They could teach us. We said the Lord's Prayer, and you knew right from wrong. Of course, we all knew each other in the area. Everybody, if you misbehaved, they told mom and dad or the teacher at school.
We had a class of, what, 42?
Yeah, which was a big class for that time. I think the biggest one somebody said was about 54 students.
It was fun.
Yeah, it was fun. It was like being with a family.
Yeah, everybody knew everybody.
It was small and, everybody knew everybody.
It was close to home. You didn't have to, most of us didn't get on buses to get here. And it just was good. Teachers were nice. The kids were all nice. You started out like in kindergarten and went all the way through with most of them, right?
Yeah.
And some of us are still friends, right?
Yeah, some of us work together.
Yeah, some of us do.
Nice small school. Everybody was friendly. The teachers, most of the teachers were great. That's all we knew. We had one witch.
The guys were gentlemen. No foul language. A lot of respect. You don't find that now.
jeans to school when I went to school. Never wore jeans.
Allowed to. Times have changed.
The reason why it was so nice is because everybody knew everyone. The classes were small. Our class was a total of graduating class of 42. We started with 83 in our freshman year. Ended up with 42. And everybody knew everyone. And much different than the bigger schools where you don't have a chance to mingle or know everyone there is in your class when you have 200, 300 in a class.
Nescopeck, like a lot of communities, small communities, had a small, closely knit school. And during that era, the school was the heart and soul of the community. And with the large jointures and the larger schools, I think that intimacy that has been lost, that sense of community and sense of belonging.
And that one big happy family atmosphere seemed to be a pretty common thread during our conversations with the Nescopeck High graduates. Almost all of them said that while larger combined districts made more financial sense, the intimacy of a smaller school life faded away.
Yes, that's correct. At one time there were probably 10 times as many school districts in the state of Pennsylvania as what they are now. And of course each one had their own identity. And merging identities takes a couple of generations, I think, until people forget their old roots.
Among those attending the reunion was Estella Gensel, who last fall was 104 years old. She graduated from Nescopeck High School in 1925. Now, when you think about her being 18 years old when she graduated in 1925, Estella has lived through some of the most pivotal times in American history. World War I, while she was in her late elementary middle school years. The Great Depression, which occurred just 4 years after she graduated, and then World War II, the rise of communism, the machine/automobile age, the space age, the electronics age, and much, much more. She literally has seen it all, and yet her memories of attending school in Nescopeck and the values she learned there, she says, are all she needed to lead a good life. You remember your classmates and all? Were they a lot of fun?
Yeah.
What was it like to go to school here?
Yeah, I loved it.
What was it like to
The
go?
only place I went was right here. I started here and finished here. 1925.
But it was fun to go here?
Oh, yeah.
Why?
Oh, I had the nicest teachers.
Great teachers.
Yeah.
What made the teachers so great?
Well, they was all so nice. They couldn't do enough for you.
Did you have any children?
Oh, yeah, I have 3.
Did they go to school here too?
Yeah. And they all graduated here.
What did you like best as far as studying is concerned? What subject?
Did you? Because I stood there a while.
I didn't like history.
And I didn't see anybody on the street, so.
Which
I
is sad
know
because you're
that.
kind of living history now.
Okay.
What were the school colors then?
Ours was orange and black. I don't know what they are now.
They bounce around quite a bit. Did you guys have a May Day celebration too?
Oh yeah, I always come to it, but I never was in it. I don't think. Unless I was with my classmates.
That May Day celebration she talked about was apparently at one time a pretty big deal for local schools. A rite of spring, if you will. It normally fell on May 1st and included various activities, including dancing around the maypole, dances and parties and more. This vintage footage of past Nescopeck May Day celebrations shows how big a deal it used to be. There was even a king and queen of the festivities. We're told it was similar to what homecoming is now. Others we talked with included Starling Bull. She was 97 when we talked with her in the fall of 2011. And you want to talk about a lifer? Starling not only graduated from Nescopeck High School in 1932, she went on to become a teacher there and later the principal. She too has lived through some of the bigger moments in American history, and we first asked her about going to school during the Depression years.
We still had a good time, even though we didn't have a lot of money. We still had a good time.
about family, right?
Yes.
Yeah. What was that family, your Nescopeck High School family like?
My mother and father both graduated from Nescopeck High School. We always lived in Nescopeck, and so we all went to school. It's just been home for 97 years.
What class did you teach? What did you teach here?
My main class was English, but I also taught French.
You taught English. How many years did you teach?
37, I think.
And then you became a principal? For punishment. Tell me about the students here. 37 years of teaching. What were the kids like?
Well, some of them were devilish, most of them were good, and none of them were nasty.
How many people graduated in your class?
24.
The average is 25, 30, something like that. That's amazing. Kids today, there's 200 in the class. Do you think you could have been a principal of a school that big?
I wouldn't have wanted to be.
Life is a lot different.
You knew everybody. And you could say, you behave.
I know your mom. And there's been a lot of changes over the last 100 years. When I went to school, there was a telephone. Sort of.
It hung on the wall at home. I remember the first number we had at home was 24. That was too long. The thing that amazes me is that everybody has these electronic devices and so on. I know nothing about that. And I don't want to learn. So. But I can remember the first TV and things like that. My father had a Model T Ford. I can remember that. So.
Some amazing memories, to be sure. Also amazing is how many graduates believe their experiences at the Nescopeck High School helped to mold who they became and who they are today. Taking your marriage and your life together in the perspective of the Nescopeck school system, how much of that do you think influenced the type of people you are today and the bringing two of them together?
I think all of it did, because I mean we had the same teachers, the same principals.
And basically, you were taught right from wrong.
This is true.
They could teach us. We said the Lord's Prayer, and you knew right from wrong. Of course, we all knew each other in the area. Everybody, if you misbehaved, they told mom and dad or the teacher at school.
We had a class of, 42?
Yeah, which was a big class for that time.
You said you were a troublemaker. Oh, kidding, but if you're not.
Well, I just got in the teacher's hair and got in the office a lot. But I guess the principal liked me because she didn't kick me out.
No, she must have. I got in a little trouble, not too much. During the time when they were taking her out of school, me and a boy named John McAfee stood up and led the rest of the kids in it, and we both got sent to the office a couple days in a row. Till the teacher, our homeroom teacher, decided to do like the rest of them, go outside and stand and let us do our thing.
Which brings up a good point. Many former Nescopeck High School students were around when educational/social issues that we take for granted today, such as prayer in schools, were just being implemented. And we wondered what other changes they have noticed over the years.
Well, I followed the school bus home a couple years ago across the Berwick Bridge. And I'll tell you, if we acted like those kids did on that school bus, some of the bus drivers like Bud Hess, Stankovich, you'd have been walking.
When you got on, you sat down and you stayed there till you got there.
Till you got where you were going. There was no running around, carrying on, and now they can't even holler at you now. And I don't think it's right. The bus drivers just have to put up with this bad stuff. But Yeah, you didn't get out and walked. I don't care how many miles you had to go either. And there was no, that you went home and told your mom and dad, the bus driver threw me off. Well, good, what'd you do wrong, you know? Not, well, we're going to sue the school, you know, so.
They gave it to you.
Yeah, it's a lot different now.
Sisters Nancy, Carolyn, and Jolene all graduated from Nescopeck, and they say quite a few changes took place in the schools, including with the elementary buildings, all while they were still in school.
Well, when I went to school, that school is torn down, this school is torn down, and it's all new.
There was a school up there that went from 1 to 6, but there was also a school down here that was 4 to 6. Now, how could there be one up there and one down here?
3, 4, 5, and 6.
Yeah, well, what about over there? That was community 1 and 2, what year you
And then it was
went.
high school on the top.
Yeah. It depends on what year you went. Yeah.
We're told the parking lot in the back part of the current Nescopeck Elementary School is where at least one of the older buildings once stood. But probably the biggest change in the history of the Nescopeck school system came when it was decided they would be merged with Berwick. As you can bet, there were a lot of mixed feelings about the decision. Bill and Elizabeth were part of the last Nescopeck High School graduating class in 1967.
Yeah, we had a gradual phase out starting in '64, where they took the 9th grade. When they graduated to 10th, they went to Berwick, and then we gradually just phased out until we became seniors.
Until we were the only ones left.
Yeah.
And we refused to go to Berwick for our last year.
Yeah, that's why they did that way. We didn't want to go to Berwick.
No, not for 1 lousy year. We've been here for 11. We were staying.
You literally just put your foot down and said,
We did. The whole class.
Well, the school board decided it'd be better that way, and there was always a little rivalry between Nescopeck and Berwick.
A little.
A little, yeah. And yeah, so we just got the phase out, and we knew about it for 3 years that it was going to end.
What was the feeling then? You're in, that's it.
Strange.
It's a good feeling.
Yeah, it's a good feeling to be the last one, but it was a bad feeling that it's no more. It's been forever, and now it's gone.
Well, we knew it was coming. That's about the best thing I could say. We held on as long as we could. There had been talk in the 50s of joining with communities in the Hazleton area, possibly over in the Cunningham area, and people didn't want their kids going over the mountain, as it was said. And I don't know, the politics and everything that went on. We just held on as long as we could. But it got to the point where we had to decide what we were going to do, or I think we were going to be told what we were going to do and where we were going to go.
Was it money?
Well, I don't know what the reason was, but the powers that be just decided they wanted to eliminate a lot of the smaller school districts in the state, and I guess they just thought it would be economically more feasible to combine, have larger jointures than so many separate school entities. Also, at one time, school boards were very, very large. There were school board members from Nescopeck Township, Nescopeck Borough, and I believe Hollenbach. And some of the school boards had more entities than that, and they were becoming kind of unwieldy with school boards of about 45 members.
Since there have not and will not be any more graduates from the Nescopeck High School, you can imagine the flood of emotions that come back when classmates step back through those doors. As we looked around at all the mementos and photographs, we too could feel the past tugging on our shirt tails a bit. Nescopeck's school colors were maroon and gold, but we did notice other colors mixed in with all that memorabilia. That's because we were told for the longest time during the early part of the last century, each graduating class from Nescopeck had their own colors. That's why you see banners sometimes in white and red, or orange and black, or blue and white, etc. It's also interesting to note Nescopeck, because of its smaller size, did not have a football team. Nope, their best sport was basketball, and a number of their teams were quite good, even winning a number of championships, including the Susquehanna League Championship of 1908 and the Columbia County Basketball Championship in 1960. Nescopeck also had successful baseball teams, as you can see by this 1939 trophy. But again, it is the friendships and bonds that were forged amongst the students and between the students and teachers that have meant the most to Nescopeck High graduates.
My favorite teacher, well, it's really hard to pick. There were several that would be in the top 5, but I would say probably Paul Stanko. I had Paul Stanko for phys ed from 6th grade right through 12th grade. I had him for American history in 8th grade. I had him for health in 8th grade. I had him for health again in 11th grade, and I had him for swimming in 12th grade. And Paul Stanko was a legitimate pro football player. He played for the Chicago Bears, the Redskins, and the Giants, and he actually knew people like Sammy Baugh, Bobby Lane, and a great many others. And he was very motivational, and I think a very, very good man. Good football coach, good teacher, and good mentor.
I'm very proud of it, and I'm proud of the school. I'm proud of the students, because even though it's a small school, we had a lot of people who went into the different professions. Teachers, college professors, doctors, lawyers, and so on. Ministers. We did all right.
And that they all did. Ms. Bull, by the way, was the final principal at the school when it closed in 1967. She retired after that. And isn't it amazing that nearly 50 years after being closed, there are still so many former students and faculty members around to share the knowledge and experiences of a school age gone by. We thank you all for inviting us to your reunion. And that'll do it for this episode of MetroCasting. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you again after later.